Needed it when we did it with Sussex Rural.
I was like, I didn't want to say, who's got the convertible?
Hey,
Natalie.
Hey,
Natalie, well, it's raining. You
happened to me too.
sleeping.
want to cry?
Yeah, in Long Beach. The first time I went to Long Beach, all of a sudden I was down there. I was like, it's like pouring. I'm like, I haven't talked now.
Want to cry at that point. I left like my panoramic sunroof open. Almost convertible.
Yeah, you could smell like.
I knew that was.
And you never really, it takes a long time to get rid of that smell. It's
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we met. I think you were here before.
Yes, I covered that.
Anthony, good, how are you?
Got 'em on Saturday.
I have to wear.
I'm trying. I've had like literally a whirlwind 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
That I have not had a breath. And I need a break. Oh. Yeah, it's Morse code. The allies trying to get their message through.
Oh, what that is.
Hey, Pat.
Okay, call the meeting to order.
Pass that to Natalie. Sure.
Marcy, would you please read the meeting statement?
Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 17th, 2024, and was posted at the municipal buildings in accordance with the Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in a pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri.
Here.
Councilmember Di Benedetto.
Present.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Sorry, yes. Council President, are you
Yes.
present? Okay, thank you.
Okay. This evening, we have a few items for discussion. One of the items that I had suggested and the mayor and I had discussed was the solicitor's license, which is being brought up for discussion. In that we are seeing an increase in the number of people who are approaching residents, at their home. And I wanted to, and the council wanted to find out if there was any way that we should provide some security for our residents in terms of requiring licensure for these individuals. Perhaps the mayor might want to open up the discussion on this.
Well, I know, just recently, we've had, a number of people come in and looking to solicit, I guess, some, products that's through our town, through our neighborhoods. Not the private neighborhoods, but, just from my experience in talking to people, I just find that today, nobody likes having someone ring their doorbell, unexpectedly. So, and I think, and I see it all the time, people posting like, who's this? Does anyone know who this person is? We live in, unfortunately, there's, we are in the safest neighborhood in New Jersey, according to New Jersey records, but that doesn't mean that things don't happen. So, and people are worried today about having, their security, and people worried about people knocking at the door. We don't live in the greatest world today. So unfortunately, seeing people come and knocking on doors is, I think personally, and I don't think people like it. So I think that I think something should be done about it. I think I don't hear people, bragging that they want people ringing their doorbells at certain times and selling different products. Nobody knows who they are. So I think it's an issue. And when you have, I think, Marcy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 20 people that came, 20 people,
Within what time frame?
all at the same time.
all at the same time they came in.
The same day?
Yes,
Were they all from the same company?
yes. And they haven't been approved yet because they need, to be fingerprinted. But I did receive all the licenses, the fees, and there's, 20 solicitors.
So they're all gonna go out together. They have like a plan, obviously.
I
Yeah,
don't know
mean,
what
they
their
must,
plan
yeah.
is. Yeah,
They must. So who pays for the fingerprinting?
they do.
Okay. So we have an ordinance, a solicitor's.
Yep,
And this-
yes.
And this is the current ordinance, even though it has okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Do you
The,
want to tighten this up? Is that the question? Like, can we tighten this to limit it further in offering licenses to solicitors? Is that?
I guess we can set up a list, right? Marcy, I believe there's a list that you can go on that you don't want that. You don't want people knocking on your door. I think there's a list that they would have to follow.
We give out a list of, a non-solicitors list that is mainly right now, the, private communities. Because the private communities don't allow it. As far as other residents, as of right now, there is no other list. There can be a list created.
What does a list mean? I don't
It's a
understand that.
non-solicitors list, so I would give them this list and they wouldn't be able to go to the houses that are on.
So
this list.
township residents would have to sign, almost like the do not call registry?
It's very hard to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
And every time somebody
Moves.
asks to be put on this list, I have to give 20 solicitors a new list. And normally people don't know about this list until somebody's already in their driveway and they're not happy. So
Could we do it on our website and have it be dynamic? So folks can update it themselves and then solicitors would look there.
I don't know if we can.
All right, that's a good idea.
There,
I
but
don't know.
Oh, because it names, yeah.
I would think,
Yeah, the only,
technology, we could have that piped into our own list and, this way Marcy doesn't have to keep, updating the list, right?
Let them update it themselves. And then you could hide the name and just have the address.
Yeah,
Any address is public information.
yeah, I don't know how we would have that feature on our website. That would have to be a
It should be.
admin discussion.
unless we just get rid of it altogether.
And just don't allow solicitors at all.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, we could do that. Or let me ask a question. Those 20 individuals who came, was the fee for each person or is it in total for the company?
I collected a fee for each, solicitor.
Okay,
So I collected a fee for 20 of them.
What's the fee we charge?
For the application, 100 for the license.
Yeah.
Is the license per company or per person too?
Per person.
So each one was 120.
Mm.
So you could really control if you want to jack up your fee.
yeah.
Hmm.
Is there any reason why we couldn't? Uh, is there any reason why we could not move that to say $100 per person?
It was $100.
The license fee is
per person.
100.
No, I'm talking about the fee
Yeah.
for individuals. Or 200,
Yeah,
or,
I
or,
collect-
or point out that this may be a problem, and becomes an issue under Daniel's law. So not have it.
Are you talking about the list becomes an issue under Daniel's law?
No, having licenses for the individuals.
I don't know.
I'd have to look into that as it specifically relates to Daniel's law and get back to you. I haven't, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get back on to the council on that.
Okay.
Okay,
And to be clear, the list that I was talking about that folks update themselves, I wasn't saying to make that list public.
Oh, no, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but the solicitors would have to get it and it would have, it would be an address, not a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give out names.
all
I
right.
mean, I'm curious, how many do other towns just not allow solicitors? I'd be curious to see.
That's up to the individual.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if other, how many other towns do that? Is that who knocks on people's doors anymore? Like, what are they selling?
They're,
I had one within a month. I've had one at my house
yeah, they're,
and I'm not home a lot.
some for solar. This is for, uh,
Pest control, right?
pest
Yeah,
control.
are they Aptiv?
Hmm?
Aptiv?
Yes,
They came to my house.
Aptiv.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I'm in a lake community.
And
And you're in a lake community and not supposed to.
Yeah, I know.
it's very hard to control.
And
They might not even understand what's a lake community and what's not, you know what I mean?
Well, we give them a list.
Give them a list.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
well, they're not following that list, just so you know.
Did you buy chemicals?
see, that's,
I did pay for service for them and I've been trying to.
that's
get out of it.
exactly the problem, Councilmember Di Benedetto, is we don't know until somebody's calling and complaining.
Yeah.
And then by then it's
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Horses out of the barn.
Can we find them? Or-
Well, I was gonna say, there's nothing in here about finding people.
Yeah, let's find them.
registered. So, I mean, if you really want to keep this, you can make it very cost prohibitive for people to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you,
And then if they get a complaint
right, then
that they've solicited in a area that was on the do not solicit list, then there's a fine.
Yeah.
But then good luck getting them to pay it.
Marcy, you didn't get any calls today, did you?
no, they didn't get their licenses yet, the 20 that applied. We haven't issued them a license yet. There are some licenses for solar that we have given out so far this year, but not too many. I would say maybe 5. But the 20 applicants that came in have not been issued licenses yet. So actually, if they're going around doing this as of now, they don't have a license
Yeah, I was solicited today on a bug exterminator.
That
Young
was,
guy, 30 years old on an electric
yeah,
scooter.
was it Aptiv?
Yeah, that's,
Okay, they don't have a license, so that's no, because I will let chief, maybe they just won't get their license.
Yeah, they were over
If
from
they're already,
Glenwood Mountain.
they're already going against our ordinance.
Right,
also, is there a timeline as far as how long the license is good for?
it's good for a year, so.
So you could actually tighten that up too.
It's January to December, so literally if they came if they got a license in November, they would have to renew it again for January.
oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, but that's interesting that they're already.
Okay.
License.
That's what, I mean, they came up with a little.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So what is how would the council like to proceed? Would you like to see a tightening of the existing license? or the existing ordinance, in terms of, moving it along, or, developing another ordinance that, that recognizes the fact that Vernon is a rather rural town, having many people who are unable to even see their next door neighbor. And yet it also has, residences such as the condos, which are private, and yet developments where houses are, close by, but they're not gated or any way like that. My concern is that if we begin to, if companies are resorting to the fact that inexpensive labor is available and they can ask these people to make calls on homes, we literally become a target because of the fact that these people can go into these areas. The only saving grace actually is the fact that we're 70 square miles. So, I mean, it's a lot of movement.
I wonder how many we're talking about, because if you think about the condos and all of the lake communities, I think the bulk of our population is in,
There.
is, you know what I mean, is in one of the, so.
From a private, but
Yeah,
that
isn't
isn't
it-
a private anyway, and they're not.
I mean, my road is a private road. I'm not in a lake community, but so there's, I'm not saying that the homes that are not in lake communities aren't important, but I don't think anybody likes a solicitor coming to their door. So I don't even, I would be inclined to just say, do we even want to issue them? For the smaller percentage of homes that aren't already on the do not solicit list, just because they're in private communities.
Well, I think
Are we required to have licenses available for solicitors so that they can perform their function?
Are we required? I don't believe so.
I don't think there's a firm requirement. I can double check, but I don't think there's a firm requirement.
Do we
Okay,
have an ordinance that says we don't permit soliciting in our town?
You could, I think you could, yes.
There's many towns that you enter, they have a sign right on the town to go in, no
No
solicitation.
solicitation.
I would recommend if you did do that, obviously, to set up a violation system.
Yeah, obvious, yeah, yep.
so maybe then, Mayor, we might need some input from the chief on this. And see what he says. Maybe we, in that regard.
I'd be fine with getting rid of it. If we're gonna keep it, then I think we should have our licensing fees at $1,000. Make it cost prohibitive
And
and
violation.
and also
And
violation.
violations, yeah, if.
And those violations are like, $5,000 per offense or something.
Yeah.
Just,
And
I
they
mean,
lose their license and they can't come back.
we talk about new ways of trying to create revenue.
There you go.
Get rid-
Do we place ourselves in a position of being
Punitive?
yeah, exactly, punitive in trying to do this? Isn't it better to just say, we don't want you, rather than to say, we'll take you, but you're gonna be paying through the arm,
I mean, that's a business decision on their part.
I'm just wondering, is there a legal situation that it puts us, the township in?
I don't know.
I mean, to be as clean as possible, you might want to consider having this go into effect for 2025.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's- have licenses aren't, prejudiced in any way. You don't have to deal with refunds or anything
Yeah.
of that magnitude, but you could pass the ordinance with the effective date of January 1st, 25. That's what Marcia,
Yes.
they'll have to renew by 2025. Okay. So you could do that.
Yeah. With the event, with the availability of contacts through, online merchandising and that type of thing, I question whether the residents would like to see people walking up their walkway, and I totally agree with Brad on that regard, so. would it be okay if we moved this to a development stage and had an ordinance brought forth a little later? With the approval of the attorney and the mayor, and getting input from our police chief, that we eliminate the availability of solicitors in our township.
Fine with that.
Sure, I don't see why not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can we move that way, gentlemen, ladies?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. So I'll work with Marcy to move that along, as well as with the attorneys and the mayor. Thank you. Anybody else have any further comment on that? Are we clear? Okay. The next item is the sign ordinance. The last meeting, I mentioned that I had been on the committee to develop the sign ordinance, and the issue was at that point, the use of what we would call feather flags or feather signs, which apparently have appeared throughout town. I made a drive through town over the weekend, and I was surprised, really, because I hadn't been in that area in a few weeks owing to my schedule. There are 5 businesses now that are using this type of advertisement. I asked Marcy to provide all of you and the mayor and the attorney with photos of these signs and where they are. Now, I had a previous discussion with the mayor about the use of these signs, and we talked about it as perhaps a way of, working to engender support for new businesses by having it become a 30, 60, or 90-day availability for the use of these signs. But if you look at those photos, all of those businesses are not new. They are longstanding businesses, and certainly if they're going to require these signs, I don't see, what good it would do. It kind of cheapens the look of the community in those particular areas. The newest business, of course, is right by Wings, and I hadn't seen any there, and I've seen that one, and then one appeared right across the street on another long-standing business. Now, my question is, if these have been up for a while, why weren't they brought to the attention of the mayor or to the council by the mayor, or by our compliance people?
Well, yeah,
So
the complaint.
me just comment on that. The Bubba's was brought to my attention, and I knew we were having this discussion. And I did ask to hold off. I know, Bubba's as well. Bubba's is, I still consider it new. And that location is very difficult, but that also does not, you do for one, you do for all, right? So I knew this topic was coming up, or at least I requested that we discuss the sign ordinance. Because we do want to be, business friendly. We want our businesses to succeed. However, yes, there is the appearance of it too, right? So, I'm very happy that we're actually having this discussion. I know as a former business owner that sometimes you put, some people, they put their life savings into this, they're just praying that people see them and come in. So I could see, you know, where people, why they do this, but, you know, again, like I said, I wanted to have this discussion to see if there's maybe there's some compromise. You know, maybe allow one sign, you know, if it's 7 foot tall, it has to be 7 feet away from the road, so it doesn't fall on the road. But again, this is a topic that I've wanted to have with the council and see if something, you know, we can do or not do. So again, just something to bring up, so.
But the question is if these signs have been here, why have, and I'm not saying I want a business to suffer, but if we have a sign ordinance and there are businesses that are not in compliance with it, why hasn't that been enforced? Because if we change the sign ordinance, are we gonna enforce it? Like, obviously, we're not enforcing it now. If these existing businesses have these, so we could change it, but are we gonna enforce it?
Well, yes, enforcing it, yes. Like I said, with Bubba's, I did,
I don't want to pick on any particular business. There's, you know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
what's like, why, if we don't allow these signs, and I'm not saying I like them or dislike them, but if the ordinance currently says these types of signs are not allowed, why is that ordinance not being enforced? And I don't know if our business administrator can, you know, address that. You know, so do they not enforce it? Why is that not happening?
I don't know.
I thought there was a 30 or 60 day. Am I wrong?
No, I don't.
It was, I think for just grand openings, you can have them. I thought that was, but
Well, grand opening has a 30-day, right?
yeah, and again, I'm not saying I don't like these signs and I'm not saying I want to find a business, but if we're gonna have an ordinance that has specific things that we allow, then we should enforce it because there's gonna be businesses that follow the rules and
Oh,
do
that's-
that, and then there's ones that aren't. And we need to be, you know, just like you said, you do for one, you do.
Absolutely. No, is the feather sign on here? I think maybe that's where that gray area was.
I think the feather flag may be termed a different type of advertisement, such as a banner, self-supported. You know, made of cloth.
Signs, I never realized how many there were.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
I know that when the ordinance was developed, those flags were considered, as was those fan-supported things where the guy flops around, you know.
Yeah,
And-
like fan ones, yeah.
So it looks really cheap and when we presented it to the community that time and the business people, you know, we knew that we would probably be coming back and having this type of a discussion, which I think is good. But again, it becomes, what do you want your community to look like? We spent a lot of time with the land use board in terms of color palettes, lighting fixtures, and what we wanted businesses to look like. And now to say, well, we're going to allow these, you know, kind of cheap, I guess, looking units to be flown at any time, kind of, you know, goes against what we were trying to do and becomes counterproductive, I think. Not only that, but I think once you allow one, then another, then another, then another, and pretty soon you're going to have you know, an abundance of these signs being handled, being shown in the community.
Well, if we're gonna, you know, set policy and then, I guess, lead by example, right? I mean, we
Well-
can't have digital signs, we can't have scrolling signs, but yet our own municipal building has one, and we have a scrolling sign at Highland State Bank.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
Well, again,
Needs to be adjusted, but then it also needs to be enforced.
right. I mean, this is something where the compliance officer and the administration need to be moving forward on this and coming to us and saying, you know, one of our newest businesses has contacted us and said, we'd like to have this kind of sign. And it's predominantly seen in many communities. Can we revise our ordinance on this?
Well, that's
The way I think it needs to go.
right, and well, again, that's why this is on the agenda today, right? To have this discussion on whether or not we should allow it. I mean, yes, I understand it's in there not to allow it, but trying to open it up for some kind of consideration. But like I said, something that I wanted to bring up and to the council. I've actually asked Peter Knight from the Economic Development Committee to look further into the sign ordinance. So I'm sure, Peter, I know during comments, I don't know if it's okay now for Mr. Knight to talk on that.
Well, excuse me, Mayor. While I know Peter, and I'm sure has a strong feeling towards business and due to his position and due to his background. But he doesn't have the responsibility of the elected officials of the county.
Correct. No, I
And
understand.
himself. So,
Correct.
to take countenance from that type of a situation, it just, what's happening is we're not enforcing the law, the ordinance that the township had. Coming back and saying, yes, it would be nice to have businesses given more latitude. What does it say? That, we're not enforcing it, and now going down the street a little later on and going down the road, that if you really want to get by this, just don't go ahead and abide by the ordinance, and they'll change it to suit your situation. I don't think that's the way we want it.
No, it's not. But I know this has been, like I said, it's been a topic for quite some time, and that's why I figured we bring it to the table for a discussion. It doesn't mean it makes it right that, that this stuff, was not enforced. But like I said, we're here now. I mean, I can send out the enforcement tomorrow and I have that done. But
Well,
if this is something that, council doesn't want to touch, or maybe he needs to go in front of the land use board, or, again, it's a topic for discussion. So, but as far as enforcement, that's no topic, right? So that I can enforce that tomorrow. So,
Enforce it on ourselves.
Well, I think we should enforce it tomorrow. Like I think it should be enforced. I don't think we have to discuss it. If we have an ordinance that needs to be enforced, we change it, then it'll be enforced based on the changes. You know what I don't think that's a discussion even. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Natalie. If you have an ordinance.
You have an ordinance? Why bother having an ordinance if you don't?
It doesn't matter to me if I drive down the street and see a sign like that. That's me.
Yeah.
But if you have an ordinance, enforce it or change the ordinance.
So, and
well, that's why we're having a
we
discussion.
haven't changed it yet, so it needs to be enforced.
So aren't we in violation of the ordinance ourselves? Right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so,
Well, we didn't put that sign up though, did we?
no, but I mean, as a township, so then, are we gonna find other folks and not ourselves? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we can fine ourselves.
I know, but you understand what I
Yeah,
mean?
but you could shut the power off to it.
Yeah, we can shut the power off to it in solidarity.
Yeah, I just don't think it's right to.
I agree. I totally agree.
I certainly think you can do that, but
Yeah.
the sign does serve a purpose. The scrolling sign, the digital sign. However,
Purpose as well.
however, I think at some point we have to recognize that there is a stratum on this. Certain ones are good, other types, to me, look cheap and really don't belong in the township, and that's not the type of look we're trying to convey. And I think perhaps then what we might need to do now is to begin to establish some type of revisions to the current ordinance, so that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. But until.
I'm for revisions. I'm definitely for revisions and getting feedback from the Economic Development Committee and from our business owners and from zoning. And if we need to, update some things, if someone wants to have a scrolling sign, maybe there's a different process for that. Like it has to be in, go through a review board through land use or something, rather than your regular business sign. I think that might make sense, because, banks, they always, not always, but typically, historically, banks do have the date, the weather, the temperature or something. So maybe we have a special, process for that. But I think generally, it's a confusing ordinance. When you read through it, you read through all the definitions, right? And
Right,
then you read through all the things that are prohibited. And then you're trying to go back and forth between the definitions and what's prohibited, and it's a pretty long list. of
yes,
What's prohibited.
and if it's not mentioned, it's prohibited.
So I think it's difficult. So I think it would make sense to revise it, but I think just going back to, I'm concerned that we're not enforcing it. So I think getting to the root of that and making sure that things are enforced equitably throughout our township for all of the businesses. And like Jessica said, we're in violation of our own ordinance.
So this needs to be cleaned up and.
It seems like it to me, right? I'm sure there's different types of different names of signs since you did it, Pat, right? Like it's been so
Yeah,
many,
yeah, absolutely,
like those
absolutely.
feather signs are, since the invention of, Amazon and online printing, you can get those signs, I could probably order one right now on Amazon and I'll have it.
Absolutely, yep, yep.
Breakneck
Is there?
in somebody's yard, yeah.
Yeah, I could probably order one right now
Yeah.
and have it tomorrow.
Yeah, how does that apply to private citizens too? That's what I meant to ask that.
You can't start, people can't have
Oh, I didn't know.
the flags on their property. I mean, that's just,
Okay, so it's allowed on your property?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it still falls under zoning. It still falls under zoning.
people have I have flags on my property, right? You have a little welcome summer flag or American flag
I have this guy.
I mean,
No, I don't.
or you got the guy at the.
how about the Christmas ornaments, blow up things? I mean,
Oh, I would love to ban those.
Oh,
Oh, it's love on me,
Bah, humbug.
I think, generally it's considered that what we're talking about are signs for commercial use.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to extend it into private residential, becomes very,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
punitive, if you want to call it that. And
the first thing it should be done is, it should say commercial signs, not just signs.
Yeah.
That should be number one then.
Mhm.
And the enforcement person may not understand that it's commercial only.
Yeah. It says permitted zones, non-residential.
Oh, okay.
Some of them, yeah, well, like it depends on the sign, like a political sign can be all, the sandwich
Right.
signs are non-residential.
Right,
Permitted.
Grand opening, non-residential, it's stated in that, yeah. Maintenance, garage sale.
So, as enforcement, right, we'll have to, set enforcement, but what do we recommend? Taking it back to, the EDAC and Land Use Board and let them review it? And, because there's other things too, like roof signs, there's, grand opening signs, like I think 30 days for a grand opening is just ridiculous. I think it should be a lot longer than that.
Are there any?
As a business owner, it's extremely stressful trying to get your name out there, trying to say, hey, I'm open, I'm here,
Yep.
so it's, please put yourself in their shoes. I've been there and, it's tough, but we also have to, prepare for the way our community looks as well. So
No, I agree with that, Mayor,
I
definitely.
think there has to be a balance somewhere.
Yeah, there's a balance, but again, that's why I said for the enforcement, you might have a business owner who looks at the ordinance and follows the rules and doesn't, and then you have someone else who doesn't. And that's not balanced either, right? Like as far as, equitable, treating businesses equitably. I just mentioned to our clerk about other neighboring towns, what their sign ordinance is. So that might be helpful to us to take a look and see if anyone's recently revised their ordinance or has, maybe some information we hadn't thought about. That might be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think it's a combination of
Yeah.
what other towns do, what can we do to, no.
You know, what other towns do, I think is something you can talk about, but every township has its own character. And, Vernon is continuing to develop its character. Right now, we are known as an agrarian type community with tourism and leisure activities. I would say that the way to handle this is for the council to begin to work towards, revising this and gaining input from people. But ultimately, it's the council's responsibility to bring this to the floor perhaps in a different form, recognizing that what's happening. There are a lot of different programs, a lot of different projects that are going to be happening in a very, very short period of time. And I think we all know what we're talking about in terms of, these building projects and everything. And we certainly don't want to do anything that's going to create a problem with them.
I agree. I agree.
Would somebody like to work? Two of you like to work, or one of you would like to work with me? And going through this as a revision?
I'll work on it.
Okay. Who's that? Jessica?
Natalie,
It's me, Natalie.
Natalie. Okay, thank you, Natalie. Brad?
yes? You asking me a question or?
Asking you if you'd.
Just honestly, Pat, I don't have.
Don't have the
time.
time? I understand, no
have the
problem.
I barely have the time, but I'm.
How about
All
Mr.
right.
Knight?
I'd be glad to work with Natalie
Okay.
if necessary, if she would like some assistance on this, so we can do that.
Okay.
All right. Next one is mayor's salary. Bill, we had asked you and Jessica, I guess about 2 months back, to provide us with information and some statistics regarding the neighboring communities and what comparative communities have in terms of the type of government and the salaries they are paying.
That's not a presentation, but we've got some facts here. So Brad, I don't know if you got a copy of that, pass one down to the copy for the mayor there.
Yeah.
The attorney has one already.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first thing we did was just some definitions and checked out what a Faulkner form of government is. And I'll just read this portion to you. Faulkner Act, 4 basic commands: mayor council, council manager, small municipality, mayor council administrator, and 2 procedures by which the voters of municipality adopt one of these. So the act provides many choices for communities with preference for a strong executive and professional management of municipal affairs. 21% of municipalities in New Jersey, including the 4 most populous cities, Newark, Jersey City, Patterson, and Elizabeth, all govern under provisions of the Faulkner Act. More than half of all New Jersey residents reside in municipalities with Faulkner Act. So more than half of the residents, but not more than half of the towns, because they're the most populated towns that have the Faulkner Act. As a result, we're the only Faulkner Act town in Sussex County as well. All Faulkner Act, regardless of particular form, citizens enjoy the right of initiative and referendum, which is very important. Meaning that proposed ordinances can be introduced directly by the people without action by the local governing body. So if the residents of Vernon really understand that, you have a lot more power than you thought before. The right is exercised by preparing a conforming petition signed by 10% of the registered voters who turned out in the last general election in an odd even year. The most recent General Assembly election is the odd even year. Once the petition is submitted, the local governing body can vote to pass the requested ordinance, and if they refuse, it is then submitted directly to the voters. So it gives people who were in the minority party more of an opportunity than you've got a highly democratic town. This is a nonpartisan type of government. If you have a town that was heavily conservative, then it would benefit the more liberal people at Faulkner because they can then get a mayor or they can put people on the seat when they didn't have a chance. It's just the way it goes in New Jersey because it's a blue state. So of all the towns in New Jersey, there are 564 municipalities. And 121 have Faulkner Act of some form, which is a dominant type of government. 140 towns with town government, council and president have no mayor. So 140 towns are operating without a mayor. So I looked at the various, on the last page of the handout, there's a graph, and that happened to be for Union County. And what that shows is that the disparity is tremendous on the cost or the pay scale for the mayor. That's what this was all about, because at the time we had our budget meeting and a discussion, the mayor asked for a raise. We then said there was a discussion last year and it was too early in our process as new council members.
So, Bill, I just want to correct you. I don't mean to interrupt. I didn't ask for a raise. I budgeted for the potential because of the conversations that were led by council stating that they were going to fix the salary. So you have to budget for it. And that's all I did was budget for the
Okay.
potential. As we always budget.
In your budget present.
Yes. Yes.
And we rejected it. And so we went back, but we did promise to look at it. That's what this is all about. That's why we're having this discussion. So I'll just read you some of the statistics of which towns do what, so that you can see where we are. On that chart from Union County, which is not Sussex County, obviously, it was just one that was posted in where the research, it's all over the place, from Elizabeth to towns that have 0 for the mayor. So let's give you some of the facts here. In June, this June, the average hourly pay for mayors is $30.60 an hour. That's in New Jersey. Nationally, it's $32 an hour. So we're as a state within the national average. New Jersey is 22nd out of 50 states in mayoral pay. The top 10 included the large cities that I spoke about, from Patterson, Trenton, Newark, Atlantic City, and they go from $150,000 down to $65,000, top 10. Vernon, our mayor, is working for $16.48 an hour. Ocean City, so we did a sampling across the board. Ocean City mayor makes $40,000, has 7 council members at $20,000 each. There's 13,000 elected officials in the state and 560 mayors. So there's 4 towns without a mayor. Summit, high income area, 0 for the mayor. Winfield, also Union County, $1. Jersey City, 148,000. Westfield, $1. Linden, 67,000, and there's 41,000 people in Linden. Plainfield, 50,000 people, mayor makes $35,000. Rahway, 20,000, and they have a full-time administrator for 72,000. Roselle, their mayor makes 20,000, full-time administrator for 92,000. Mayor, Vernon is the only Sussex County with a mayor council with a Faulkner form of government. So the other Sussex County towns that do not have Faulkner, you have a small town, Andover. Their mayor makes $3,709. Andover Township, not Andover Borough, they have $4,295 for the mayor, and the clerk administrator makes $111,000. Montague, 3,000 people. The mayor makes 3,000 and the clerk makes 56. Sparta, the mayor was making $44,050 in Sparta. They just added a new form over there where the manager working 30 hours a week in Sparta makes $150,000. So you can see that the manager is running the town and the mayor makes $4,000. Wantage, mayor makes $6,000. Frankfurt, $3,640, and the clerk runs the town for $60,000. Lafayette, $2,868, and the clerk makes $40,000. Stillwater, $3,796, and the clerk makes $45,000. Borough of Sussex, $1,499, and the clerk makes $65,000. Only the last three to go. Sanderson, Byram, $3,500. Byram, which is a fairly populated area down on Route 206, pays their mayor $3,500. They pay a manager $101 and a clerk $75. Green Township, mayor gets $0, clerk gets $59. Frieden, $3,200, and the clerk gets $57. And then I had spoken to our attorney, Matt, because he's the mayor of Bridgewater. And I just spoke to his assistant. I told me, I mentioned it. So he, as the mayor of Bridgewater, makes $15,000. Each council member makes $7,000, and the council president makes $8,000. So you can see from all this information that it's across the board. There's no real rhyme or reason, in my opinion, that we have to take anything that's taking place here. It's really up to the people in Vernon. Of all those numbers, we're amongst the highest because we have two highly compensated people who are running our town. We have a business administrator and we have a CFO. And those two together are about $240,000. And then you have a mayor at $30,000. So where's the balance? Who's responsible for what is really the question. And how much can you afford in a town that has 24,000 residents? So those are a lot different numbers than any other town in Sussex County. So that kind of lays the framework of where we are and what has to be discussed if we come up with any plan to change the compensation for any of our people.
Thanks for doing all that research, Bill.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I take no credit. I did nothing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. All Bill.
And then
Thank you.
lastly, Brad called me yesterday and he told me of a recent happening in our neighboring town.
Yeah, West Milford, 2 or 3 weeks ago, kind of a different situation down there. They just voted to approve the mayor as a full-time employee, subject to pension and benefits for $130,000 a year. However, from what I gathered, and this was just through articles that I read online, I haven't spoken to anybody in West Milford. From my understanding, they've been looking for quite some time for what they call the deputy administrator. And the CFO just went down to 30 hours a week with a pay cut. So the mayor has been doing the deputy administrator, some CFO responsibilities, and being a mayor. But the real odd part of it was that every year the council's gonna vote
Oh,
if
yeah, I read
the
that.
mayor is either a full-time or part-time mayor. That is, I hope nobody from West Milford is listening, but to me, that's just gonna be a cluster. Because I think you have to go one way or the other. You can't be flip-flopping back and forth every
Yeah.
single year.
That's crazy.
But that's the situation that's over there. But again, they've had a tough time finding a deputy assistant. So the mayor has assumed those roles of the deputy assistant, so.
So they're not.
And I'm sorry,
Right?
I don't mean to.
Oh, okay. I would have questioned.
The, if I'm not mistaken, I think the deputy assistant salary in their ordinance is $135,000 or $140,000 a year. And it was stated by one of the council members that, the mayor is making less than that, and if she wanted to, she could quit being a mayor and they would hire as an administrator, pay her the top dollar, so,
So,
yeah, so it's kind of a really weird situation over there.
so the mayor's salary then doesn't exceed what that administrator salary, so it's.
Right.
They're, yeah. And that mayor's doing what they're saying is two jobs, the mayor's job and then that.
And part of the CFO
And part
responsibility.
of the CFO responsibilities.
Right, and then I guess the key word is stipend rather than salary. If we're a
Mm.
stipend position like we are,
Mhm.
we get paid $3,000 for this job
Yeah,
and we're not employees, we're no benefits and
no pension.
no
Yeah.
pension, right? So there's a big difference. And so that's the report. And I don't have a conclusion. It's across the board and it's not easy. And you really have to take a look at all your personnel, your needs. When we used to have the council form of government here, there were 5 people on the council and they elected one of them to be the council president. There was no mayor. So the council president had the title mayor for that year. And that's how the government was run. And then the key person in the town was a business administrator.
Town manager.
And
With town manager, yes.
yeah, we went through a number of them,
Mhm.
some good, some bad.
Yeah, we did. So we're not terribly off, right, with our stipend, then we're really not far off, because it seems like, I just did a quick look here with my paper, and the majority of these salaries are under 40,000. There's 3 that spiked up
Right,
over, but the majority
way under.
are way under 40,000, so we're,
Can I ask where you pulled this data from? I mean, I see here Katie Lannon.
Yeah, it shows Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
Yeah, well, Wikipedia is being wrong, it's constantly wrong, right? So I know, for an example, I think even the year Vernon Township was established and that data is wrong. So, it's not information
No,
that,
it's just, even in the printout I handed you, I made a couple of asterisks. Vernon Township is listed under 2 different,
I think always,
I wonder if it's because it had us both because we changed, right?
I think the question always is, right, what does Vernon Township want? What does it need, right? Does it need a part-time mayor or a full-time mayor? Right?
And how many hours a week would you say you work?
Geez, well, I don't come in at 8:30. I always come in a little later because I do like that time when everyone kind of leaves to kind of get some things done without the phone ringing or being disrupted. But I would say easily 50, 60 hours. I mean, I don't know, like, then could you calculate into weekends and
Events?
I do go into a lot of, committees. I do sit in a lot of them. I think it's important because I think some of the work that our volunteers, I think, if are not partaking in it, not being like involved, but at least sitting through it just to see what goes on. Sometimes I know some of the complaints, I think with the EDAC was that it kind of falls on deaf ears sometimes. So I find it to be important to be part of those meetings. Same with the fire department too. I try to get to some of their meetings just to see what's going on, hearing and understanding, and also show support. So, and then, weekend events and things like that, right? So, I mean, that's not mandatory, but, I think that's what makes the difference in on what mayors, should be, I think, especially when you represent the town, right? You want to partake in a lot of these different things, but, so yeah, it's kind of hard to put a number. I know I've heard Harry Shortway, Howard Burrell, talk about the long hours too. And you are on call 24/7. Yes, I'm not responding to, the fire, but, But I do have to have my phone. I have to always be available. I mean, I would think that, you need someone to be on call. You need someone to be available. I mean, certain things have to be, decisions have to be made, and you're supposed to have knowledge of things that go on. So, it's around the clock pretty much. So it's hard to put a exact number. So,
Mayor, the position that you hold was one that was desired by the community. Previous to this, it was a township manager with an appointed mayor by the council. And at some point, the issue became accountability, and they wanted a directly elected mayor. And the issue for, a Faulkner form of government was brought forward and resolved with a new form of government. I think what's happened now is that the government that we have is also the government that is used by other types of community. Just for the sake of it, I mentioned Newark, because frequently in any type of question that appears before a judge about what the council can do and what the mayor can do, they always cite, Newark Sharp James versus the city council of Newark. But what Faulkner fails to recognize is there are different forms of compensation. Certainly, the level of compensation in Newark versus Vernon, yet they're the same type of government, is predicated on the amount of revenue. And there's where we have our problem. I would venture to say if your salary, the salary for that office were placed before the taxpayer, probably wouldn't change. And I think it's going to have to be done by some type of mechanics prescribed by an existing council and graduated over a period of time. I think Brad came up with an idea previously, but he also reflected on it that, if this weren't done, the type of income is not going to be something that a person who has to raise a family and wants to do this can do, and provide the oversight on a regular basis. So you need a business administrator. And that's where I think the issue becomes. To raise the salary of the mayor, do you decrease the salary of the business administrator, or do you decrease these responsibilities of the mayor in terms of what is expected? So,
well, I think it's important to understand that, some of the things that the mayor does is much different than, say, the business administrator. Some things overlap, but there's a lot of different things that the mayor does, and I've always said this is, I see, a lot of times, people want to come in and they don't know our form of government, right? So they don't know about the business administrator and what he or she's role is. So I think, they want a mayor, right? They want to speak with a mayor. And it's constant that we get, escalations, from the residents or sometimes even staff too. But that's something that should be, well, that part, at least the staff is supposed to go to the business administrator. But, like I said, there's a difference in the roles. And I think when I hear, well, if you have a full-time business administrator, you don't need a full-time mayor. I think that's been proven not to be true throughout the years, right? We've heard from previous mayors, it's the same thing. It's, 50, 60 hours. It's nonstop. So it's not just something that one mayor is working all these hours and the other one's not. So I think Vernon needs to decide, right? So what do they want, a full-time mayor or or a part-time mayor. So I think that's, I think that should really be, you know, the key in deciding, such a thing. And, you know, again, just with the responsibility, that goes along with it, you know. Is, so I have a complete, well, not a complete list. I have a lot of stuff that I am working on. That the reason why I'm working on it, because I am working in a full-time capacity. Part-time capacity, you could probably scratch 95% of the stuff off the list. So, you know, that Vernon needs to decide, right? Do they want the full-time mayor or part-time mayor, you know? So, I think with a part-time mayor, you won't get, you know, a lot of the things done. Like I said, I think the business administrator is, you know, she managing day-to-day operations. But, you know, outside of that, I mean, that's a very long day to begin with, right? So, I think, outside of that, you know, requires, additional help, and the CFO is, you know, I don't know where the CFO came into this with, you know, I know some municipalities, I think, well, we did have our CFO acting as a business administrator, I think at one time before Tina came aboard. And I think West Milford, right? West Milford was using the CFO, one of the townships.
Their CFO just took a pay cut and a
Pay cut, yeah.
responsibilities, but they didn't understand as to why.
Kind of like what Danelle, right? Danelle was getting extra money when she was acting as a business admin.
I would just be very, very, very careful about speaking about specific personnel, just because of resources and all that, just.
No, understood. Yeah, we're not gonna deep dive into that. But those are the facts, right? That's out there, but
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, you ran with him. This is why you're saying this. And it's not. I genuinely like the things you're doing in town. I can tell that you care. I see the initiative. My question is, I don't even see the point in having a part-time mayor. We're paying somebody $34,000 a year to be what, a figurehead? I mean, I think if you're,
shake hands and kiss babies.
I don't, for me, I know everybody's gonna say it's because I ran with you and because we're friends. That's not the case. Genuinely, and I think people know I've sat up here and I've disagreed with you very publicly before. For me, I would like somebody to be in this town as invested as you are. I think we should pay a real salary. That's my opinion. I know many people disagree, but I think this town could look very different in 10 years with somebody who cares as much as you do. If even somebody like you, that's it. I mean.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think, you know, as one always said, no one's getting rich working, for Vernon Township, but, you know, yeah, I think there should be some level of, something. I think it opens up, you know, it opens up the door for, more candidates.
To run, yeah.
You know, so,
The only problem I have with that, Jess, and I don't mean to disagree with you,
No, that's.
is I've always, I don't disagree that somebody's putting in an awful lot of time. I don't disagree with that at all. The only problem I have is when you go ahead and offer a higher salary, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get somebody who's gonna care more.
Right.
Or know more, you know, and it being an elected position, if you were to go ahead and bump the salary up and then you had, you know, 5 people run for mayor and 2 or 3 of them are throwing their name in the hat because they could make, you know, a decent coins right in their hometown, they can get elected, and then for 1 year, you can't do anything with that person if they don't show up. Because you can't even recall them for a year. They're an elected person, they're an elected official. So to me, it's a double-edged sword on both sides of it, because you know, there may very well be somebody out there who is young and has a family who live in town and cares very deeply about the town, but they have a job that pays, you know, 3, 4, 5 times the amount that what the mayor's position pays, and they're not gonna go ahead and do it. And that's the drawback of keeping it down. So I am so divided on this issue. I go back and forth, you know,
Well,
every time I discuss this.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine.
I thought about that too, because if, you know, If it were somebody who was doing things in the town that I didn't appreciate, didn't like, didn't align with, then I would be like, no, why are we paying them all this money?
Right.
I guess we could revise it every year like the.
Self-interest portion.
We have seen a common thread that if a person moves like they did in West Milford from one position to the next, there's certifications that have to go with that move. It isn't just, oh, here's an extra $80,000. It does replace somebody else, or it does result in movement of other personnel in many cases.
Yeah.
And even to go and, we're not the school board, but even our current superintendent, when he got the job, he wasn't certified, but he was given time to get certified, and he's certified now. And that was one of the requirements.
But there are no certifications for mayor.
No, but he took over the BA, some of the BA things in West
Right.
Milford, she did, yeah.
So
We
I
get
don't
him?
know.
No.
Does anybody else have anything else to say? And suggestions, recommendations? If not, I think this, we kind of find ourselves in a position of, so what do we do?
Yeah.
Certainly there's, a recognition that at $16 an hour, as Bill said, that Mr. Higgins said that, that's what we're paying the mayor. But then again, that fact was already known when the elected official chose to run for office.
Sorry, is it $16 an hour based on a 40-hour work week?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then it's
Yeah.
essentially less, really.
Yeah, right. Certainly if you're 24/7, which the mayor probably would be. I think it's worthy of further discussion, but I just don't think we're going to be able to solve that problem tonight. And I think we're going to probably need further, discussion among ourselves in terms of how we want to approach this.
Pat, I have a question. You were involved in this 10 years ago when this came up.
Yeah.
Different times, right?
Yeah.
And both times when that happened, it ended up, petition was filed, ended up on the ballot for a vote.
Right.
So can a second question be put on the ballot in November to ask the community, do you want a full-time mayor? Or does that have to start with an ordinance from us? I guess that's more of a legal question than a Pat question.
I don't think it has to start with an ordinance. I think that's a remedy. If the ordinance doesn't go through, we could, but I think if you wanted to just do a ballot question, you could pass a resolution for that.
So you just pass a resolution for a
Yeah,
ballot.
and also the amount of money that would be paid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. Whether you like it or not, if an ordinance was done with a salary increase, it's gonna end up on the ballot.
Yeah.
There's
Because someone's
I
going
mean,
to petition.
We're batting 1,000% on that one,
Mhm.
because it's happened twice in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these conversations go nowhere, so maybe that is the best path forward.
Well, Pat, when they did the change of government, right, what did they offer the mayor over 12 years ago? Is there an offer?
And the ballot
That-
question?
I can only tell you
No.
what happened,
Voted no,
the initial,
I changed it.
when the type of government was established. And prior to being sworn in, the council was at liberty to develop salaries and or stipends for themselves and salary for the mayor. And it was the only time when that particular salary for the mayor could be approved without having to go before any other body or the electorate. And the mayor at that time chose to accept $30,000 in the hopes of being able to prove that success would earn him a greater salary in effect, but that didn't happen. And whether or not it was because of the electorate or other factors, it just didn't happen. And from that point on, it's been a continuing battle, and I think everybody who's lived in town for a period of time understands that and knows what went on, so.
So was there an offer, was there numbers that were thrown around at that time? What did the?
They ranged anywhere from 125 to 70,000. The 125 was, if I might recall, it came from a previous budget. And then the 70 was proposed to the mayor by the council at that time as a starting point, because there was no way that everybody felt that it would be approved by the electorate. I mean, let's be candid. You know, people don't like to pay taxes, and any type of movement in terms of increasing, responsibility, yet saving money by virtue of what's been done, and then raising taxes. There is no marriage on that, and they just refuse to accept that. And I know at that time we had three straight years of no taxes, a strong identification with the governing body, and it still was not approved. So. So we could continue talking about this for the rest of the evening, but I just don't think it's going to get us anyplace. So I think let's see if we can't develop a follow-up to this and see what we can do. But unless anybody has any further comments,
I just
Go
have
ahead.
a question. If it's something that the council wants to put on the ballot, what's the deadline for that to happen?
Have to look that up.
Yeah, I can get back to you on that. I think you have time,
Yeah,
but I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I can give you a date tomorrow.
All righty. Thank you. Moving on. Mayor's comments.
All righty, I have a few things. So just congratulations to the class of 2024. It was graduation last week, right? And I think it was like almost 100 degrees that day, so that was up. So again, best of luck on their next chapter in their life. So Thursday, we had our senior citizen picnic, which was a great event, lots of food and dancing, despite how hot it was. But our strong seniors came out and they turned up the heat. So even more, so happy to see that these programs are actually being used. So that evening I was invited and I had the honor of throwing out the first pitch at Skyland Stadium. And yes, I did hit the home plate and from the mound. So I didn't embarrass Vernon. So yeah, well, that didn't come in that fast. It's funny because the catcher was like, "I'm just worried I'm not going to catch the ball." I said, "You give me too much credit." But no, it was great, and great, and thanks to the miners for having me out there. It was great. So on Friday, myself, Heidi, and DPW. We gave the intersection of on Route 94 a little facelift. We added some river rock, which was donated by Valley Mason, and a new stone planter. The planter was filled with flowers from Papa's Garden Center. So again, thank you, Heidi, for all your help and strength, because she got some muscles there. DPW, they came out there, and we all grabbed the shovel and and got it done. And thanks to Vernon PD for, you know, keeping us safe while we're out there on that little median. So we are planning to do the 515 section, except for the Riverstone. It's unfortunate because again, it was on the other median with blacktop. So the blacktop kind of fell in to the curb. So we were able to clean out that section and put some stone in there. But being that this is concrete, we can't do that. So unfortunately, we are stuck with the red brick. But again, we'll try to dress it up with some new planters. Still taking some donations for the clock and the planters. So I don't have an ETA now. Again, like I said, we're still getting some donations. Yesterday, we had our first Vernon Car Show to help support our fire department and EMS. This turned out better than we expected. I think originally, we were like 50, 60 cars, and I think it was over 100. So it was great. And the best part really was the community coming out. And you know, I'm guilty. I pushed for this. I am a car guy, so I did push for this. But then I come to find out Michelle and Meg from our rec department, they're car nuts too. So it was good. And I think there was about 1,000. I think they said probably about 1,000 people were there. So that was and everybody, I got to say, was really having a good time. And we definitely look into, you know, maybe have one in fall. And if not, we'll definitely have one next year. Time again, definitely. It was a great turnout and everyone really had a good time. So also finally, so I just thank you again, Michelle and Meg. Kevin Gill from the fire department, he did the training. Thank you all of our volunteers, everyone who came out and helped us out with that. That was great. It was a lot of work, but they got it done. So very happy. And also the Vernon PD for blocking traffic and directing traffic through. So it was good. I didn't get any complaints on the traffic or anything. So it was good. And finally, we did our audit report, I guess, is out there. So you know, thank you to Danelle and her department for keeping the town's finances in check. And you know, I think there was just a couple of little things on there for the tax lien. So hopefully we can get that resolved at least by next year's audit report. So that's all my comments. Oh, one other thing, this Wednesday, we have the Senior Citizens Olympics. So from senior citizens from all over the county are coming, participate in these Olympics, which is going to be held at Maple Grange. And 2022, Vernon took the gold. So hopefully we can do it again. So really, really excited for our seniors, and I'm rooting for them. I'll be there. So I'm looking forward to it. So
Participating?
you know what though, in Highland Lakes, I'm actually considered a senior citizen. But they're awesome. So looking forward to it. But so hopefully everyone, you know, you guys can attend. So and root our town seniors. So that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All members of the council have received, moving to public comments. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comments?
Moved?
Moved by Mrs. Di Benedetto. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open to the public for 3-minute comments on agenda items only. Anybody wishing to approach to comment to the council, please come forward and let us hear you.
Hi, Peter. Echo.
Pat might have to mute himself.
Pat, can you mute?
Sorry.
Texting.
Hold on just a second.
I
Texting.
can mute you.
Oh,
She's got it.
Pat,
You're good.
okay.
Okay, Peter Knight, Pleasant Valley Lake. Good evening. Could I possibly request 3 minutes per discussion topic?
No.
Okay, I figured that. So
I'll make two extremely short. On the subject of solicitor licenses, let's just cut to the chase and not allow it. There have been over many, many years, there are firms that solicit paving, roofing, and they take deposits from people and don't show up. Personally, I don't want anybody knocking on my door without scheduling the time with me. So I don't even like my family showing up to the door. I know they're coming. So that's that. On the sign ordinance, and I take exception about the comment about me being allowed as the chairman of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, that I really don't have I forget the legal term, but I don't have a vested responsibility as an advisor to the mayor. Certainly, my committee's advice should be entertained. The mayor came to us a couple of months ago and said, I'd like you to take a look at the sign ordinance. And guess what we said? That was on our agenda. So over the last couple of months, each of our members spent, and I have to say, probably more than an hour each looking at this and having 2 months of conversations. We're prepared that by this time next month, we will present to the council our recommendations. You know, so typical, whether a municipality, state, federal, or even a corporation, the idea is to tweak something. Well, you know, we're beyond tweaking that ordinance. If you were to go out and give citations for the ordinance, there's actually an ordinance that says you have to maintain signs. Well, I can show you a lot of signs. There are signs that wouldn't be approved if they came to the township and asked in advance. So like so many things, you don't try to tweak something, you take a look, which we have been doing, and we have come up with a list of recommendations. Some of it is just a consolidation. You were looking at the ordinance tonight, you know how many pages there are.
Yep.
There's some redundancies, there's question marks after you read something. So
I'm sorry, your time is up. The 3 minutes are up.
I want to talk about the mayor set.
There's open public comments at the end. Now, this isn't.
Can I assist her?
Tonight, I'm looking forward to that report. Thank you.
Good evening, Ann Larson.
Oh, come to this.
And up this podium,
This one.
so that way they can see it.
Yeah,
It's like, why is it so low? This is better, right?
yeah, and then.
I just wanted to go over a couple of things if I may. Starting with the solicitation law, but where does that leave us for elections? I mean, this is a big election coming up.
That's different. They're not,
They're excused?
yeah, they're excused.
This is for commercial purpose, isn't it?
Only commercial, okay, just wanted to be sure.
And religious too.
And what?
And the religious.
Christians also, okay, all right, thank you. Okay, regarding the light ordinance, I have to say, I read these things and I missed a meeting because the Board of Ed was scheduled the same day when they gave themselves the 9.65 without vote from the public. So I was there and I missed a whole boatload of things that went on. So I have to say, I don't know where this thing with the lights came from.
I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
Lights.
Oh, the ordinance. Oh, okay,
Yeah, the
sorry.
ordinance, the lights.
Mhm.
For starters, I myself have to have lights in the backyard. My house has been robbed twice. I back to woods. I have a dog that has been skunked repeatedly, and apparently the only way that that doesn't happen is if you have lights outside. You know, the bear is out there. I don't know why we would try to infringe on people's rights to put a light on their own property. You own the house, you should be able to flick the lights on when you like. If someone doesn't like it, they have blinds for that. But I think that is quite an intrusion on someone's personal space to tell them that they can't use lights on their property. So I think that should really be reconsidered. If you want to ban something, ban that kratom being sold in town, but that's not on the agenda. In reference to the limo bill, like, does this deal with Uber drivers as well? Just limos? Do we have an overabundance of limo drivers here? I kind of feel like we're starting to get really heavy-handed and targeting independent workers.
We have been giving out licenses for that for a very, very long time, and there's a fee in our ordinance for it. But we don't have anything in our ordinance for licensing. We only have a fee. And what that does is we make sure that the licenses are registered.
That's a state license, isn't it?
They're inspected by the police, so that, you know, we don't have an unlicensed car riding around.
Well, wouldn't it have livery plates on it? Livery or limousine?
Anybody could put plates on the car, I believe. I don't think that.
You're nodding your head, is that true?
Just need a screwdriver.
And you can get a New Jersey license plate that says.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, it's pretty.
I kind of feel like here we go. I mean, that sounds like another infringement. I feel like a lot of rights are getting chipped away.
It for years, and we don't have.
So what happens if the limo driver drives through our town because the pathway to West Milford is closed for an accident?
They're parking in our town.
They're parking here. Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying that. And then lastly, if I could have just one quick suggestion regarding the mayor's salary. We have a CFO that works in 3 capacities. Perhaps if we reduce that position down to a part-time position or stipend, we'd be in good shape and we'd have the money to spend where we'd like to spend it. Thank you.
Hey, Ann, I'll just comment, the lights on your property, you have every right to light up your property like Yankee Stadium. The thing is, it's about lighting up your neighbor's property, lighting up your neighbor's house, or having a light that can be blinding as you're driving down the road, in a main, you know, on a public road. It's not about having your lights in your
The
property.
mom that's at 91, macular degeneration, who is legally blind, she needs lights. She's
Yeah.
not on a main road, but if you're saying pointing at someone's house, that's one thing. If
Yeah.
you're saying people who need lights, my mother needs lights, otherwise she could fall and get
I-
seriously injured.
No, that's not what that was. This,
Well,
like I
then
said, you can light it up as like.
It needs to be tightened up, so it doesn't say that, so it doesn't sound like it's, you know, that we can't have a certain volume or luminance or whatever the word was of lights. I think it's unfair
No,
to say
it's-
that.
That's not what it was put out for. It's not to say you can't light up your.
Unintended consequences, that's what we always get. We write it one way, oh, we made a mistake, and here we got somebody else that's responsible. So,
It's, and I think it's even listed as a nuisance.
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe we can, yeah, I think we're out of time.
To be.
Thank you.
This isn't a discussion time though, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, what is he saying?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
But, and that was not what it was, intended for.
Anyone else wishing to come forward?
Scott Castle from Glenwood, just regarding the mayor's stipend or salary or whatever. First of all, on the mayor, I pretty much agree with Ms. Di Benedetto on everything she said about the mayor. But, you know, I'm never for increasing admin costs. I think they're the biggest form of bloat that we get. Easy to enact, but you can never rescind them. But you know, that being said, I voted for this mayor. So I didn't vote for the CFO, I didn't vote for the administrator. So for me, you know, he's the guy that I hold accountable. So he's the guy I want to be representing my town. So my thought was, I mean, could there not be an in-depth review of those 3 roles, the CFO, the administrator, and the mayor? And then we look to see what can be reduced or what overlap can be eliminated. And we reduce those roles similar to what West Milford did. Not the 1-year review thing, which is insane because you can vote the mayor said every year, but and you reduce, say, the CFO's role. I mean, to me, I'm not in the know, but I'm not sure why we need a CFO and an administrator, you know, in this town of our size, plus, you know, plus a full-time mayor. I did read an article which was pretty interesting. It was a few months ago, but it was saying that businesses are more apt to invest or relocate or build in towns that have a strong mayor and a single point of contact that they can handle, because they find that things go through better with that. So, and I was agreeing with that before I even read the article. So it was interesting that I read that. So, this is the guy that I want representing us in this, and I think if we have to cut back on, say, the CFO position, make that a part-time position, or whatever it is to pay the mayor what he's deserved, we can kind of offset the cost with something like that. I just don't know that 3 full-time positions for a town of our size is really realistic. Maybe it is, but that's just my thinking. The question would be, is it possible that, so say we increase the mayor's salary, whatever, when it's no longer Mayor Rossi and we go for a new election, could there not be a base salary that it gets reset to, or is that a huge pain in the neck?
You have 30.
It was off salary ordinance.
That becomes, you're not paying the person, you're paying the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thought was, then we could go through the same process and you're kind of reviewing everything as opposed to just the guy comes in and makes a ton of money. So, well, not a ton. But that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm really happy with this mayor. I'm all for him getting an increase, but I do think we need to offset it. We can't just continue to expand all of our costs. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward?
Hi, I'm Heidi Labrie of Vernon. I just heard what I wanted to say, so. I'm sorry, what was your? Scott, I agree with him totally. It all makes sense. And everybody who's got a problem, and every mayor that I've encountered approaches the mayor with their problems. I've never heard anybody says, well, I'm gonna go to the business administrator. But he represents you, he represents the government, but he really works with the people for what needs to be done. He's the communicator of the town, and he represents the town in other ways. But I agree with Scott 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward?
It doesn't look that way, Pat.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brad. Seeing no one coming forward, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All members have received a copy of the bills list. If you have any comments, any questions, please raise them. It's a rather short one, so.
The question, I had one question on ordinance 2410. The 3 resolutions of 24, 183, 184, and 185, are those items that are in that ordinance?
What are you talking about?
And the bills list?
Oh, bills list. I'm sorry. I thought you were on the ordinances. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm tired.
Pushing the meeting to be over.
About that.
Wrong one.
Well, so is there anything else on any other comments on the bills list?
Yeah.
We can move on. Thank you. All members have received the copies of the minutes of June 10th, a regular meeting. May I have a motion to put those minutes on the floor for consideration?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Misty Bennett.
Ms. Di Benedetto?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any additions, corrections, deletions? Nope, seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri,
Abstain?
Ricky Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Adoption of ordinances. We are doing, or looking at ordinance 2407. If you have any desire to have any of these ordinances separated for consideration, please let me know before so I can separate them. 2407, an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 16 of the Municipal Code of the Township of Vernon Historic Preservation. Ordinance 24-08.
Council President Rizzuto, excuse
Yes.
me, these are ordinances for public hearing.
I'm sorry?
These are for public hearing. And
Okay,
adopt-
I'm sorry.
That's okay. They have to be
Separated. Okay,
yes.
thank you. May I have a motion to place this ordinance on the floor for a hearing?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mrs.
Bucieri?
Bucieri. The floor is open.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The floor is open to the public for discussion of this ordinance. Is there anyone wishing to come forward and discuss this ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello again. I'd like to know exactly what the ordinance says.
The ordinance, if you'd like, I can read it into the record, or you can be given a copy of it. But,
Read it into the record, I guess.
okay. Would you like that, Mr. Knight? Thank you. An ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 16 of the Municipal Code of the Township of Vernon. Whereas ordinance 21-04 abolished the Historic Preservation Commission, and whereas the Township Council of the Township of Vernon has determined that it is in best interest of the township to reinstate the Historic Preservation Commission, now therefore be it ordained by the Township Council of the Township of Vernon that the Code of the Township of Vernon is hereby amended as follows. Section 1, 5-13, boards, bodies, commissions, and committees. The following boards and bodies of the township are hereby continued. Land Use Board, as set forth in section 330-6, Environmental Commission, Open Space Board, reserved, Historic Preservation Commission. This is changed from reserved. This Recreation Committee, Municipal Alliance Committee, and Senior Citizens Committee. Section 2, Historic Preservation Commission. There is hereby created in and for the Township of Vernon a commission to be known as the Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you.
Keep going.
I can keep going if you like.
No.
No, I don't think we need to do that, Pat. I think
Okay.
we're good.
Thank you.
But I do have some questions on this. The question is first on
You want to close?
Yeah.
Council President, still in public
I'm
session.
sorry, go ahead, close the meeting to the public if no one else is wishing to come up.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Sparta, seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion
Aye.
carried. Thank you. May I have a motion to place, this motion has been made. Place this on the floor for consideration for a vote by the council.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second by Sparta.
seconded by Mr. Sparta. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? No, I do. On page. On page 2, 3. Number 3. All commissions, commissions.
Minutes?
Minutes,
The
records,
minutes
so they-
notices, wait a minute, basically, the historical survey material carry out. Oh, to recommend sites, I'm sorry. Basically, this brought up the question of what about the existing artifacts and funds from the previous committee that was held?
Are there funds?
I'm sorry,
You're saying there's funds from the previous committee?
were there? My
Or were
question.
there? Oh, okay.
Well, that's. You'd have to look, to see if there were funds, and then where were those funds? Were they pushed off to, were they put somewhere else, or are they still sitting in some fund somewhere else?
Right,
That's,
and what about the disposition of the artifacts?
I don't know where that stuff is.
Well, are we going to,
Well, I know that the Historical Society has artifacts, but I don't know if the preservation does. So I know that the Historical Society has a storage unit that contains
okay,
a lot of the artifacts.
There are no funds. There are
All
no
right.
funds in that account and there's nothing
Thank you.
budgeted for this year.
Yeah. So,
thank you. And the number 10 on duties. Says to report at least annually to the planning board on the state of historic preservation in the township and recommend measures to improve same. Can we change that to the land use board, since we no longer have a planning board?
Yeah, you'd have to make the motion to amend, to change that language.
Is that amendment such that it would require reintroduction?
No, I don't believe so.
Thank you. Okay. Can we pass this ordinance with that amendment considered?
Yes.
Thank you. So with that, anybody else have any comments on this? All right, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Zito,
Yes. Thank you.
with that amendment.
Okay. Um, Ordinance 2409.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
wait.
I'm sorry, 08. Capital ordinance providing for various improvements by the township of Vernon and the county of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating therefore the sum of 160,000 and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from general capital reserves and the capital improvement fund of the township. May I have a motion to place that on the floor for consideration for public hearing?
Public comment. Yes, I make that motion. Bucieri.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second by Di Benedetto.
Mrs. Di Benedetto, thank you. Seconded. Roll call, please.
We have to,
No, I'm opening the floor to the public.
Yeah, all in favor.
Aye.
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 Oh, has everybody commented? Yes, okay. Is there anyone wishing to come and question this ordinance?
It doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it, thank you. Motion to close the meeting to the public?
I'll make that motion, Bucieri.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri, is there a second? Second by Mr. Higgins, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. To place 2409 on the floor for passage and consideration, may I have a motion?
2408, just.
2408, I'm sorry.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Thank you. Any question or comment on this ordinance?
I have a question. It says improvements for the fire department and the Department of Administration for total improvement authorization of 160,000. Is there an itemization of what those improvements are for the fire department and for the Department of Administration?
My understanding that the fire department is for interior corrections or improvements.
I think
in
it's
terms of
Council President,
yes.
Council President, hey, sorry, I'm on. I just wanted to, that's a different ordinance number.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I did send around a detailed list for the capital ordinance and the bond ordinance. So for the fire department, there's pager upgrades for 17,000, turnout gear for 4 fire departments of 67,000, and SCBA packs of 36,000. And then for the administration, it's just the construction document archival that we spoke about during the budget. That's for 40,000.
Okay. And for the also for the administration?
Yeah, that's for the construction document archival.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
If Danelle's still on, so in other words, the first page that you gave us was for 2408, and the second page you gave us was for 24.
it's for the various.
The bond ordinance.
2410?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Any other questions?
Nope.
If not, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins? Councilmember Scarpa?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Bond ordinance 2409. Bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the Highland Lakes Fire Department building in and by the Township of Vernon, in the county of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating $105,750, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $100,000 bonds or notes of the township for financing such appropriation. May I have a motion to open this, place this on the floor for opening it to the public?
Moved, Sparta.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second by Bucieri.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there anyone wishing to, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Is there anyone wishing to come forward and comment on this or question this?
Oh,
Seeing no one coming forward, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor to the public.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Di
Bucieri.
Benedetto.
Bucieri.
And Mrs. Bucieri, is there a second?
Second, Sparta.
Second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like to place this motion, this ordinance on the floor for the council to consider. May I have a motion?
Higgins.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second, Di Benedetto?
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call, please. No, this is, yes, this is. Yes. This is for placing it on the floor for discussion. Roll call?
I thought we did that.
No, it's not for discussion.
It's a vote.
This is,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we already put it on the floor.
yep.
Yeah.
Public have
no,
their
but
own-
this is for adoption by the council. Does the
Yes.
council have anybody to have any discussion on this?
No, I don't have any questions.
No.
No,
No.
Pat.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Ordinance 24-10, bond ordinance appropriating $3,483,624, authorizing the issuance of $2,220,000 bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. May I have a motion to place this on the floor to open it to the public?
So moved, Higgins.
Motion made by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Sparta.
Second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak to this matter? Seeing no one coming forward, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Move to Benedetto?
Closed by Mrs. Di Benedetto. Is there a second?
Second, Sparta.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to come forward and put this on the floor for consideration? The council? For passage?
What are we talking about?
Were
Yes,
there any comments you mean?
Public comments, you mean?
for comments by the council. No one came forward on the
Okay, no one came
public
forward
comments.
publicly. Okay, yeah. No, I don't have any comments.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes,
Danelle still on?
Yes.
can be.
The parks for lighting at Veterans Memorial Park 200. I thought last year was the last of the bonding for that. Am I mistaken?
Donnell, can you unmute?
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I apologize. No, that last year was not the last one. And also last year when we went out for bond, it was over what we had originally estimated.
Okay.
So this will take care of another set of lights. And we actually did just receive the recreation grant from the state of New Jersey for $75,000, which will obviously reduce the debted portion of this once we do the chapter 159.
So am I correct in that was bonded over 3 years for 3 separate bonds, I should say?
Correct, yes. So it's 3 separate bond ordinances. We broke
Yeah,
up
that's-
each project each year,
That's what I
yeah.
thought. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call vote, please.
We need. I don't think we have a motion to adopt this.
Yeah, there needs, we just need a motion to adopt first and then we can do the roll call.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second by Sparta.
Second by Mr. Sparta.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Thank you. Yes.
Motion carries.
Mrs. Bucieri, this is becoming somewhat cumbersome, because I can't see who's making the motion or here. Would you please resume the count at ordinance 2411, Vice President?
Oh, okay, you want me to, oh, okay. Right, ordinance 11, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, addressing limousine licensing. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comment, please?
Second.
Moved by Benedetto, second by Sparta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the floor is open for public comment.
I want to make sure I'm right. Is this 2411?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you tell me what this ordinance deals with in limousine licensing?
You can, this ordinance was posted prior at the original reading. You can have a copy of it if you'd like, but I'm not going to read it into the record.
Okay, well then, I have a question. Regardless of whatever it says, my understanding is limousine licensing is a process of the state. So if the ordinance involves any other licensing from the town, why would we do that?
Is that all your question?
The question, yeah.
Okay. And maybe the attorney can answer that quickly, why we would want another layer of protection for our township?
Yeah, it's my understanding, even though the state has its licensing requirements, there's nothing prohibiting a town from adding additional license requirements. It's not the same license, it would be a separate license.
I want to say something rhetorical. It's the next step, pizza delivery drivers. Maybe we should include those people, have a license. And that was rhetorical. I don't see any, quite frankly, any advantage to the town adding another ordinance that the state has already required with fingerprinting, background, et cetera.
So, but all businesses in town require a license, right? So essentially, this is just another business in town requiring a license.
I don't know off the top of my head if all businesses require a license, but some I'm sure do.
Most of it, yeah.
Most.
It could be a limousine from Hamburg picking up a Vernon.
Oh.
That's not.
This is not, this is
Yeah.
really a discussion between the council and
Yeah.
or the public,
Okay, well,
My fault.
them to comment on the ordinance. Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay,
A motion.
may I have a motion to close the floor?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Higgins, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, may I have a motion to put ordinance 2411 on the floor?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta,
Second?
second by Ms. Di Benedetto. Any questions or comments by the council?
No, Mr. Peter, he brings up a good point. To me, it's a revenue generator. It's nothing more than that for local government. That's what it's all about.
Fair. Any other comments?
I guess I just, sorry, and Peter, I apologize for cutting into your time and asking a question and when I should.
I hit pause when you guys talk.
Okay, I apologize.
I do.
What is the delineation between businesses that require a license and businesses that don't? Is there a clear?
I would just say what you've all heard councils in the past have put into an ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Good. Okay, can I have roll call vote?
Councilmember Bushieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
No,
Member Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2412, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending chapter 374 titled Nuisances, Public Health to address exterior lighting standards. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comment?
move.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the floor is open for public comment. On the lighting. Yep, this is the lighting.
Thank you for, that with me before. I appreciate it. But I have to say, I think it's very heavy-handed and it needs to either be tweaked seriously and brought into bounds. It's improper to tell people what kind of lights they can have on their property. And maybe we should have some sort of mediation. If someone's shining lights into one particular home or onto a busy street, maybe that's when you call them and we have a meeting and try to mediate it. But heavy-handed laws like this, if they're just going the wrong way, we already had the judge strike down the property ordinance, the property maintenance ordinance. If you can't have property maintenance ordinances, how are you gonna tell people they can't put lights in their yard? It's just not making sense. Thank you.
Are there any of the members of the public wishing to come forward? I'm seeing none. May I have a motion to close the floor?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Di Benedetto. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion to place ordinance 2412 on the floor.
Moved.
Mr. Sparta, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Higgins. Questions or comments about this ordinance? I would like to comment, I understand, I'm not a fan of telling people what to do on their property, so I definitely understand that, the comments from the public. But it does say illumination color which shall be distractive, obliterate or obscure the view, the ultraviolet, strobic, pulsating, flashing, or of any unnatural kind, or create a public nuisance. So it's not saying any lights, it's saying lights that are pulsating, creating a public nuisance. It does really delineate that. It's not just saying you can't have any light on your property.
Does the bug zapper do that?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm sorry.
No,
You have-
that's-
You have the public comment,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, but I'm trying to, I'm trying to address your concerns, because I understand it. I definitely understand it. And, I have lights on my property. I have, animals too, dogs and
Yeah.
wildlife on my property, so I totally understand that. But it does say, it's designed to provide lighting intensity of 5/10 aluminum per square foot. I'm not an electrician, so I don't know what that is. But, it does specify that we're looking at things that are distractive, obliterates the view, obscures the view, strobic, pulsating, flashing, unnatural, or creates a public nuisance. So those safeguards are in the ordinance, and you can't just mediate with someone. You can't, the town can't do anything unless there's an ordinance, because that's the law. So that's that. I just wanted to address that with my comments. Does any other council member have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to vote against it until you just made your statement, because it really does clear.
It does clearly say, like, we're just talking about a nuisance, right?
But
That's again.
Yeah, we're talking about a nuisance.
Gotten complaints that, and this has been going on for quite some time. It's not about having lights on your property. It also stops, someone from having a spotlight on your bedroom window, right?
Yeah, exactly, which would be highly inappropriate.
Yeah, and we've gotten complaints for that, so that's what this would, prevent. It's not from you lighting up, believe me, my backyard lights up like Yankee Stadium. And the last thing I would want is, shining on someone's window,
Yep.
I wouldn't want it, but there are some people that do it, unfortunately. So, everybody wants to, it's not about, creating laws that, restrict people from living, their life. It's about people wanting to live in peace. So
Okay, all right.
that was the intent.
Any other questions or comments? No, okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes,
Motion carries.
You want me to continue, Pat?
on the resolutions, no, I can take care of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Consent agenda, resolution 24-179 through
$97.
24. There you go, 24-197. You have any question on any of these particular resolutions and you would like to have them separated, please tell me as I'm going through, and we can separate them for a vote, to separate them for an individual vote. Thank you. Resolution 24-179, an approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the McPeak Road Improvement Project. Resolution 24-180, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between Vernon Township Police Department and Atlantic Health System, Newton Medical Center, to establish joint participation in the Arrive Together program to enhance and support response to certain behavioral health crisis calls. Resolution 24-181, Chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation amending the 2024 budget as a revenue and appropriation of $47,635.64. Resolution 24-182, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the use of Omni Partners, formerly known as U.S. Communities National Cooperative. Resolution 24-183. 24-183. Resolution authorizing purchase of Schwartz A8SE sweeper and accessories through Sourcewell National Cooperative number 093021-SWZ through H.A. DeHart and Son Incorporated. Resolution 24-184, resolution authorizing purchase of dump body and accessories through Sourcewell National Cooperative 080818-HPI through Henderson Products Incorporated. Resolution 24-185, resolution authorizing purchase of Freightliner 108 SD and accessories through Sourcewell National Cooperative 080818-HPI through Henderson Products Incorporated. Resolution 24-186, resolution authorizing fireworks to be displayed on July 4th, 2024 with the Township of Vernon, within the Township of Vernon. Resolution 24-187, overpayment, block 527, lot 338, Garcia. Resolution 24-188, refund overpayment, block 106, lot 43, Humphreys. Resolution 24-189, a resolution authorizing fireworks to be displayed on July 6, 2024, with rain date July 20th, 2024, within the Township of Vernon. Resolution 24-190, authorizing the use of Morris County Cooperative Pricing Council for the proposed improvements of various streets, 2024. Resolution 24-191, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending Resolution 23-237, specifically contracts for proposed improvements to Maple Grange Park. Resolution authorizing 192, authorizing the use of Morris County Cooperative Pricing Council for resurfacing Maple Grange Park lower parking lot. Resolution 24-193, authorizing the use of Morris County Cooperative Pricing Council for proposed improvements to various streets, 2024. Resolution 24-194, resolution of the authorizing award of CC number 1-2024 payroll processing vendor through the competitive contracting process. Resolution number 195, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 82, lot 14, Schwartz. Resolution 24-196, block 82, lot 14, Schwartz, canceling taxes for the total disabled veteran. Resolution 24-197, renewal of liquor licenses in the township of Vernon for 2024-2025 licensing term. May I have a motion to place these on the floor for consideration?
Pat, can I have two removed first before you do
Sure,
that?
absolutely.
24-179 and 24-194.
24-194,
And 179.
179. Okay. Very good. Is there anyone else wishing to have any other resolutions removed? Hearing none, can I have a motion to place, I'm sorry, to place resolutions 24-180 through 24-193 and resolution 24-195 through -24-197 on the floor for approval.
I'll second it.
Who, Mr. Sparta,
Yes, yep, sorry.
By Mrs. Bucieri.
seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Any, not, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving to resolution number 24-179. May I have a motion to place this item on the floor for consideration and discussion?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Any comments, questions on this?
Yeah, how much is the grant for? And what is the road improvement that's planned for this grant?
Danelle may know, but I do have, I could check my email. I do have the information somewhere.
They'll have it?
So the road is McPeak. I believe I believe the resolution says McPeak Road Improvement
does.
Project.
Yep.
The estimate, I would have to look at the backup. I actually did not receive the backup for this. But usually the DOT grants are around 200,000. That's what we've been awarded in the past, anywhere between 190 and about 230. It depends on the road.
Okay, and what's the improvement? Is it just paving or?
Yeah, to repave that road. Yep.
Okay.
You'll hold on a second. Maybe I can help you out, Brad.
Yeah, there was no support with it. That's, you know,
Mhm.
all the other road improvements had support with it.
The
And I assume
I
because.
I don't have a backup on this either.
And I assume that since it's done with a grant, that's why it's not in the capital ordinance.
So it's in the bond ordinance. It would be in a bond ordinance for next year.
That's what the 25 is for. Okay,
Correct. Yep.
okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And resolution,
Can we vote on that one first?
Yeah, you
Let's vote on it.
yes, okay. May I have a motion? Oh, the motion has been made. Is there let me have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bucieri.
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-194, resolution authorizing the award of C number 1-24 payroll processing vendor through the competitive contracting process. May I have a motion to place that on the floor for consideration?
Moved, Sparta.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second. Higgins.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. Mr. Sparta, you have any comments on the
Yeah, I
question?
do. I just, I read through the support, and I couldn't find the answer to the question. Years ago, we had in this situation where the payroll company had access to our bank accounts, fleeced us of over $300,000. Do these people have access to our bank accounts for tax payments and stuff?
Yes, so the way, the payroll company works is that they do submit our taxes. The issue that happened, that was a long time ago. We had AmeriPay, I believe it was called, and
Right.
they did not remit, the federal tax returns to the federal government. So we get copies of those, that they are remitted and confirmation now. Things have changed in the payroll world because of that massive debacle.
How much of an issue is it for us not to give them access to it and we submit the stuff ourselves?
To submit the actual taxes ourselves?
Yes.
We can submit the taxes ourselves. I don't see an issue with that. We did include the taxes as part of our specs though for this project.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
No.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. The annual audit, resolution 24-198. 2023 annual audit. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
Move to Sparta.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second. Higgins.
Second by Mr. Higgins. Any comments or questions on this particular issue?
Couple recommendations made, right?
That's the
Yes.
And
That's
the
it.
next resolution.
That
the
would be
correct-
on 24-199, the corrective action plan. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-199, the corrective action plan 2023 audit. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Comments on this or questions?
Yes, I guess an explanation on, what action they recommend we take, corrective action.
On the back of
So,
it.
yeah.
My understanding, Mr. Higgins, is that Mrs. Wright can, correct me if I'm wrong, is that essentially what we're looking at here is a separation of duties requiring a person to handle the register for incoming funds. And that those duties should be separated from the person who currently does that, and that should be a duty only for that person.
And from the comment, from what I understand, most townships have this as one of their recommendations as well. I think it's one of these default.
That's right.
Yeah.
The reason being, we would have to hire somebody and everybody, we always want to try and avoid having too many people on the payroll to save money. So that, it's a kind of a two-headed sword, two-sided sword, you're cut one way or the other.
We don't have anybody on the payroll now that can handle that duty?
Yeah.
So can I just give a little bit of an explanation on this?
Yes.
Yeah, so the adequate segregation of duties, every other duty financially has been segregated. The only issue that we have is that the tax department takes cash and checks for tax payments and also posts them in the system. To hire a an individual to work full-time and to just take the payments and then have the tax office apply them, that's kind of, that would be expensive to do a job like that. We have it segregated in every other fashion. I have worked really hard to do that. It's just that is the one last thing that will prevent us from not having this removed, is hiring an individual to just handle all of the cash and checks separately from actually posting the tax receipts.
Does that satisfy your concerns, Mr. Higgins?
Yeah, that's government, I guess,
Well,
rather than just getting it done
We have to hire another person
in government.
just to
Government.
stand there with a cashier, with a cash register. I mean, we're doing
That's what it is.
Is-
Okay, no, that's,
now with it. It's just a recommendation, I think.
is there anything else?
no.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Member Bushieri?
Yes.
Benedetto?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins? Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Introduction of ordinance 24-13, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, addressing taxis and auto cabs. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for introduction?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Sparta.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second, Di Benedetto?
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. All in favor signify, I'm sorry, roll call,
Comment?
please. Roll
Comment?
call.
You have a comment?
No,
Introduction.
it's an introduction.
No comments for introductions.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
No.
Councilmember Di Benedetto? Yes. Councilmember Higgins?
No.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comment on any item? Your time allotted is 5 minutes. If you have any questions, please come forward. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Sparta.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Anyone wishing to come forward?
Cheeto's coming.
Me again. Just a quick comment. I think I'll address this. I'm concerned that perhaps the council doesn't fully understand this ordinance for limousine licensing. This only pertains to limousine services that are doing intra-town service and has a business located in town. So the question is, does this impact out-of-town limousine services that may do service from here to Newark Airport or New York? So I think it's ambiguous enough that it'd be hard to enforce it. Now, I'll circle back to the mayor. With all due respect, the analysis that was presented to the council this evening is really, I could have taken 10 minutes on the internet and come up with that. It falls far short from really understanding the value of any township mayor or business administrator. You have to consider what's the size of the town, the budget of the town, the number of employees. Does everybody here know how many employees are managed here in town? I know 200. A township like Byram, which was used as an example, I'd be very surprised if their number of employees are near that. Also, I would challenge that the council has not done proper homework. Or as far as I know, there is no reasonable description of the responsibilities of the mayor, the township business administrator, and the CFO. And unless you know what responsibilities or what is being fulfilled by those individuals, how can you figure out what the compensation is? As far as I'm concerned, as Scott said earlier, typically you go to the mayor with complaints. You don't go to a business administrator or a CFO. So it's very important that we don't need a mayor to shake hands, kiss babies, go to openings, et cetera, et cetera. That's a part-time mayor. We need a full-time mayor. I wonder how many of you have gone into the mayor's office and looked at his whiteboard where he's put up a great number of projects in the works. I've had the opportunity as the EDAC chairman to sit with the mayor and developers to talk about potential plans for developing the town. Again, I wouldn't trust a part-time mayor without business experience or municipal experience or the combination to lead those discussions. For instance, as much as our business administrator may be good supervising people, which is the main purpose of that position, I don't think most, and not singling you out, Tina, but I don't think the typical business administrator has that experience. So I suggest we do the homework first, define the responsibilities. Maybe somebody sit down with the mayor and have him tell you all the kinds of projects he's working on, what the estimated time is. I know he's come to 2 or 3 of my committee meetings. I suspect he's come to others. So that's a commitment from 7 to 9:30 at night that he works. Am I keeping you awake?
I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
That's it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I think the comment, it should be noted that approval of the municipal code will answer the questions that were raised by Mr. Knight. The mayor's duties are clearly delineated there, as are the response as far as the use of the business administrator and the response and
those descriptions
there.
Paragraph long.
Your time is up, Mr. Knight. And as far as the same thing with the chief financial officer and the other members of the administration. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward?
Scott Castle from Glen again. We've been away, so I missed a couple of meetings. So this is something going back a couple of meetings, but it's regarding the Zoom calls and the call-in participation. I think Mr. Sparta had a valid question, regarding AI and all of that. But unfortunately, what happened with that was one of the town cliques or groups or whatever, which I learned there's a few of them, unfortunately, but they took that and used it as a method to silence some person that they don't like that calls in, that uses, that makes comments that they don't want to hear. So that whole thing is unfortunate, but I wanted to discuss the actual reason for not having or having Zoom. I know there was someone in here that was claiming they were in IT or whatever, and we're talking about network security and, Zoom vulnerabilities and things like that. And honestly, that's the typical kind of IT scare tactic talk that companies use to get people to buy their products. And I know that because I work for one of them that does that with their sales. So it's just what they do. But I'm in IT. I run teams for information security as well as IT automation. And there are vulnerabilities. Pretty much any internet facing or public facing tool that you use is going to have vulnerabilities. But it's similar to this building, you know, we could board up all the windows and block all the doors and never let anyone in, and we're a lot more secure than if we let people in. It's just not reasonable. So you have to, you know, kind of evaluate what the trade-off is and if it's worth, you know, the information security risk that you think you're gonna have. We use Zoom at my work. They patch everything very quickly. It's not really a big deal. And I won't make this a whole IT discussion, but basically, if your infrastructure is set up correctly, anything that's facing the internet, like Zoom or anything else, you set up the network so that it's siloed off. So even if someone were able to exploit one of the vulnerabilities, which is not simple to do, but if they were able to do that, they can't really go anywhere other than disrupt maybe your Zoom meeting. That would be all that they could do, is cause some problems with that. So that was the first piece. The second piece was the actual AI piece. While it is simple to go online and create an AI instance with, you know, uploading some data and some pictures or whatever, it's a totally different situation to create an AI instance that you can then port to a public meeting and make it be legitimate. But let's say somebody does do that, for instance. All we're talking about is somebody putting in a ton of effort to break into a Vernon Township council meeting. And then on top of that, they're only going to be able to do public comments, which I don't know of any, you know, major council decisions that have happened immediately because of public comment. So we've basically, you know, taken a very rare thing that possibly could happen, and we've proactively stopped a large group of people from potentially being able to call in and make their comments known. And, you know, not everybody can show up here because they've got childcare or, you know, their commute, or they've got physical limitations, and now they can't call in. And just to me, you know, it's a major overreaction. And I think that it wasn't real, to me anyway, maybe things went on behind the scenes, but it didn't seem like it really had the discussion that it needed before it was enacted. And for me, the town, I would think we want more people to, you know, be involved and be able to get their opinion known than less. I mean, having, you know, 15 people here is not that great. I know it makes the meeting shorter, but that's not really our goal. I think we want to hear from as many people as we can. So I'm hoping that this can come up for review again and maybe go, you know, be reviewed occasionally to see if it should be in there. I mean, I come in here, so it doesn't affect me at all, but I really get a lot out of some people that call, even some people that call and I don't agree with. I get some good information from. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Anyone else?
Yeah, somebody's walking up.
Yeah.
It's me again, Ann Larson. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Couldn't have said it any better if you tried. I do agree. And quite honestly, seeing Mr. Rizzuto on Zoom tonight, it's kind of like, it feels like rules for thee, not for me. It's unfair to preclude people with handicaps, illnesses, all sorts of issues at home that cannot participate. And we're basically shutting them down. I mean, if a council president can host a meeting from home, we can host meetings and have the rest of the public speak up. And, you know, for all the talk of AI and so forth, yeah, the mute button. If it gets out of hand, you mute someone and just end the call. But this is really, it feels like stifling. It's not a good feel. It's not a good feel at all in this day and age. So thank you. I hope you reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Sparta. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Public council comments. Anyone wish to make any comments? Mr. Higgins?
Yes, two comments from the people in the audience. Mr. Knight, I was the one who made the presentation on the mayor. The idea was to stimulate the discussion, not to be criticized that I took 2 hours to get information off the internet. I actually said that at the beginning. I said where the information came from, and I think we were successful in stimulating a discussion. There was no intention of solving a problem. And I think it was, the goal was accomplished and we spent a good half hour on it. So then, from this point, then we move forward.
I didn't mean to criticize.
Thank you.
But the other thing on Scott's statement and Ann just following up, I voted no on the Zoom and I stand by that. And the reason one of the main reasons I voted no too was Mr. Rizzuto, I think, solved the problem the 2 meetings before when he was very vehement on new rules of engagement and people that were talking about non-council comments or non-council business were limited and they were shut down. And then I thought it went smoothly. So that's what I was hoping was going to continue to happen, but it'll come up in the future. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Di Benedetto,
I have nothing.
thank you. Mr. Sparta,
Nothing.
thank you. Mrs. Bucieri,
No comments.
thank you. We are moving into the heavy part of the summer where people are looking towards their vacations and making schedules. Our staff, our employees, and individuals themselves. I've discussed this with a number of the mayor and a number of other people and members of the council. Not all members, because I wasn't able to reach them. I apologize. But I am canceling the July meeting, subsequent meeting, the second meeting in July, and the second meeting in August. This will hopefully help people plan their vacation schedules without having to work with them. Now, I did have conversations with the mayor and also with the clerk, and she's assured me that all of the requirements, all of the demands for items being brought before the council will be brought before us at the appropriate time, and there will be no problem with, for example, payment of bills or anything like that. So you can adjust your schedules accordingly. Again, my congratulations to the graduates for this past year, for 2024. It's always nice to see these youngsters, young men and women, go forward and begin a new phase of their life. I think they will enjoy it, and I'm hopeful and I'm sure that they will have had a good foundation, a good grounding by their education in Vernon Township. So that being it, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
You.
Pat, night.